Hey guys, welcome back to Pixel Rich Games. In this episode of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, we are no longer gonna talk about full champion guides, but rather very specific strategies against Talus. I know, beating Talus isn't that impressive, but the goal of this video is to encourage you guys to try out and enjoy the challenge of playing in very hard mode. Taking no damage from Talus actually helps us enjoy fighting other bosses because it provides us with more room for error. That said, let me paint a picture of the environment where the strategies that you will see here were tried and tested. Like I said a bit earlier, this was done in very hard mode, and this means that stuff that you will see here will also work on easier difficulty settings, but were not designed for them and would probably be overkill. Next, we go to the weapon I'm using. I have a Demon Carver with 74 base attack damage. It's pretty easy to get this weapon base, so don't use too much resources upgrading anything less. This isn't a normal drop though. This comes from an octo-polished weapon. Based from the data that I collect during my live streams, when running Master Kohga, there's approximately 30% probability that a rusty weapon drops. Then there's about 70 to 75% chance that we get a 74 base damage weapon after octo-polishing those. That's pretty neat. Take note that all of the drops that I octo-polished for these numbers came from Unnatural Disaster. Another thing to note is that difficulty settings don't actually affect drop rate, so if you do prefer, you can get this on lower difficulty settings. Next, let's talk about my attack speed. As you can see, my attack speed is nothing to write home about. I'm setting at only 22% attack speed increase. In Master Kohga's case, more attack speed is absolutely better. I know some would argue that it's better to match a strong attack damage seal to get the damage bonus from seal matching, but I will say it again. For Master Kohga, attack speed is king. Now we can begin with actual strategies. Unless you're testing things out or just playing around, all we need is our YYYXXX combo. There are two awesome reasons why this is our combo of choice. First, we can expose an enemy's weak point meter when we are close enough. And second, one complete chain of this combo will provide us with around 95% stress. 95% is a very good place to be at for three reasons. 1. We are not forced to fire our laser in an undesirable position just to avoid sticking our head into the ground. 2. We can even opt to eat some bananas to further delay having to fire the optic blast. And 3. We are just 2 short taps away from activating our laser. The next component of our strategy is Master Banana's remote bomb. Like I always say on stream, his remote bomb is one of the best in the game, if not the best. His version of remote bomb can actually destroy both Talus arms without even trying. I'm not saying it happens all the time, but it sure happens a lot without any effort on my part whatsoever. Getting rid of Talus arms is so important as this can immediately cancel an attack that a Talus is about to do, which our YYYXXX combo is not capable of doing. Not only does this cancel action, it also forces a Talus to rebuild its arms by having to sink itself into the ground, which creates a long window for us to do as we wish. This can even cancel its dive attack, even if it's already in the air. The third component of the whole strat is our big old glowy blast, our beautiful laser. Again, There are 3 things that we need to remember when using this laser against Talus. First one's to always aim for the small rock on its shoulder. Hitting this deals damage to its weak point meter, which works our way to a weak point attack real fast. Second is to avoid firing it from point blank. This results to hitting just its underside. This still does good damage and staggers the Talus, but it doesn't deal damage to its weak point meter. The ideal distance is to fire it from around 2 dodges back, where we have the ability to actually aim with our left stick. Going too far from the Talus results to the laser not hitting, even if the graphic looks like it is. The third thing to note is meant for times that we are forced to fire our laser. So we're at point blank and we don't have time to create the desired distance from the Talus. To somewhat salvage the situation, what we need to do is, once Master Kohga rolls in the air, getting ready to fire the laser, tilt our left stick to the left. If done correctly, instead of Master Kohga rolling in place, he will roll to the left where we can get a better angle on the small rock that we are targeting. Sometimes this move will be as good as firing from 2 dodges back. Most of the time, it just does a bit of damage to the weak point meter, and the rest just plain damage. Okay, so now the last component is of course our weak point attack, as I would like to call it. Nothing much to mention here other than its damage is on the low side. So let's put these 4 components together. Our main priority is of course to do our YYYXXX combo. This takes a pretty long time to complete. With around 20% attack speed, after completing this once, the Talus will be set to perform 1 attack of its own. When we are in this situation, instead of having to dodge its attack, we fire our remote bomb as a counter attack. Again, this makes the Talus drop to the ground, and we should now be in the perfect scenario to press B twice to dodge back 2 times, tap ZR twice, and unleash our stress on the small rock. At this point, we should now be ready to do our weak point attack. After getting hit by the weak point attack, the Talus will again lose its arms, and will have to pick them up again. In this situation, we are so free to do our combo with more than enough time to go straight to our 2 dodges and fire the laser, instead of having to use our remote bomb. Now sometimes, we are able to get the whole weak point meter, and other times we will need to close the gap again to fire a remote bomb and go in for another weak point attack. After familiarizing yourself with all of these, you will never be caught between a rock and a Talus in very hard mode. See what I did there? Now let's watch the whole thing in action. Click here to watch and learn how I break down and rip through a Hinox in very hard mode on Master Kohga. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to get notified for more Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity content. Stay tuned for my next vid. Stay healthy, keep safe, and God bless us all.